Hello and welcome to this demonstration video of the web-based transformation software offered through Workplace Transformation. In this video, I will present the portion of the software that helps teams and organizations manage their continuous improvement efforts. When a user logs into the software, they are immediately taken to their home page. The home page in the software displays for each unique individual user their responsibilities throughout the entire system. This is done so that users do not have to go through all of the menus and click on many screens to look for what are the items that I need to be aware of and what am I responsible for. So this is a very powerful first view as soon as you log in to see exactly what my workload is in terms of the continuous improvement efforts of my team and organization. First, the home page lists all of the continuous improvement forms that I am responsible for as the logged in user. It will show the form number, the team name, the performance area of that specific continuous improvement form, and the key measure that we have. The key measure is how are you measuring your performance in that performance area. For example, average pounds per day as a productivity measure or total incident rate as a safety measure. The second section on the home page is reserved for problem-solving worksheets, and there are two subsections. First, the home page shows me all of the problem-solving forms that I am the natural owner of, which means I'm responsible for overseeing the progress and development of that problem through to solution and prevention. And you can see here it says there are no problems to view. So this user is not directly responsible as a natural owner of any problems. The second subsection is items that I'm responsible for. This section shows any activities that I might be responsible for on any problem-solving forms within the system, regardless of who the natural owner is. And you can see this user does own an action on a problem-solving form, even though they are not the natural owner of that worksheet. And finally, the third section on the home page shows the project implementation worksheets. And similar to the problem-solving section, it has two divisions. The first one shows any projects that this user is the natural owner of. And you can see it shows the form number, which performance area it's dedicated to, the actual project name, the date it was assigned, and the estimated completion date of that project. The second division shows any steps that this user is responsible for on any projects, regardless of that project's natural owner. So this user has two projects that they are directly responsible as a natural owner of, and they have a number of steps here that they're responsible for. And you can see here what the step is for each, which project that step is allocated to, and a target completion date for that. So as soon as I log in on my home page, I have a summary of all of my responsibilities in the software, as well as any estimated completion dates or target dates that I have committed to. So I don't have to search around, view many screens. I know immediately these are the things I need to pay attention to. Now let's take a closer look at one of the continuous improvement forms. We can open it by clicking on the folder icon on the right-hand side of the screen. Once the form's open, you can see the form number, who it was originally initiated by and the date it was initiated, as well as the team, the performance area, the key measure, the natural owner, information about the current objective, and the date it was assigned. Below this header information, you can see the graph of performance. You can see the historical performance laid out in bars. There's a line designated the current objective amount and date that we want to hit this objective. And we have an arrow here indicating that we want this measure to move in an upward direction. Moving down on the worksheet, we can see a summary of the data analysis that was performed for this key measure. There is an orange form behind this continuous improvement form that leads users through a 4-step analysis that breaks down data to identify your top priorities in terms of improving performance in this area. Since our example is from the productivity performance area, the data used in the analysis centers around process downtime. You can see from the summary that operating downtime is our number one priority compared to mechanical and electrical downtime. Clicking on this folder icon will open up the focused improvement worksheet, which will show the detailed data that supports this prioritization. An additional feature of the software is the ability to attach any Windows-based file to this format that helps explain or clarify any of the data we're looking at. In this example, we have an Excel sheet connected that shows the diagnostic data graphs from our analysis. I can download that by clicking on the link and opening up the file. Once it's open, I can see that we have graphs showing the improvement opportunities. So our operating downtime versus mechanical and electrical downtime. And immediately, in a visual way, you can see why we chose to focus on operating downtime as our number one priority. Taking the next step and breaking that operating downtime into categories, you can see that our operational downtime was comprised of roll changes, sheet breaks, tension settings, and cable adjustments. And you can see here, again visually, that if we were going to focus our efforts, we would put them toward roll changes and sheet breaks. Let's close this file and return to the software. The whole purpose behind the data analysis is to lead us to a set of actionable items that we can implement that will help us improve our performance. So for example, in our data analysis, we know that we needed to focus on operating downtime, and it had two main components, sheet breaks and roll changes. For sheet breaks, when we looked at the data, we found a pattern of sheet breaks occurring on 2-ply 24-weight product. So we initiated a problem-solving worksheet because we don't know exactly why that's happening or what action to take to resolve it. On the other hand, looking at roll changes, we know that if we review and standardize our roll change procedures, we can reduce that downtime. And if we reorganize the calendar roll storage area, that will also reduce the downtime. So these are potential projects that we could implement. And we have prioritized those using data. If I click on this folder icon, we can see the data that supports our priority. Here you can see that reviewing and standardizing the roll change procedures will take 2 months, but the cost is only the work hours that we put into this review, and we can reduce the overall downtime related to roll changes by 30% versus the other project of reorganizing the calendar roll stage area, which will take only 10 days, but it will cost $2,000 and will only reduce our roll change downtime by 1%. So it's easy to see there why we chose the roll change procedures as our number one priority. It's easy to see that the continuous improvement form is a summary of everything this team is working on to improve their performance in this performance area of productivity. You can see the graph of performance. You know the target that the team is currently working toward. You can see the data that was analyzed to identify priorities, and you can see any linked forms that help support that data analysis. You can see any problems the team has assigned and what the status of that problem-solving process is, and any projects the team is working on, and again, what the status and progress of that project implementation is. The rest of the continuous improvement form is very straightforward. Once we've identified a problem, we record the natural owner, the date assigned, and we also record dates when major process steps of the problem-solving process have been completed. So after we've described the problem, once we have interim actions identified and implemented, when the root causes have been determined, when we have solutions implemented, and when preventive actions are in place, which is also the final completion date of this problem. For the project, we also record the natural owner and date it was assigned. And then we have major process steps. So when the steps and difficulties were identified, when we have a responsible person and target dates for each step, when our project estimated completion date is, and the actual completion date of that project. Now let's take a closer look at the problem-solving worksheet. We can open this example problem-solving worksheet by clicking on the folder icon. Once it's open, we can see the problem number, and we can see that the parent of this problem-solving worksheet is a continuous improvement form. We also see the team name, the performance area, the natural owner, and the date this problem was assigned. Again, we can see from our data analysis that this problem solving comes from a sheet break issue on 2-ply 24-weight product. Then this problem-solving worksheet is divided into sections. The first section is describing the problem, where we collect numerous facts that help us understand exactly what we're experiencing so we can better solve the problem. The major sections of this description are what is happening, where is it happening, and when is it happening. When we have the entire description of the problem completed, we record the date here at the end of this section, which automatically gets transferred back to our continuous improvement form. The next section is identifying immediate interim actions to minimize the impact and protect our customer. For each interim action, you describe it, you can assign a natural owner and a target date and a completion date. Any actions that are assigned to natural owners will appear on that person's homepage when they log into the software. Again, once all of the immediate interim actions have been implemented, we record a completion date for this section, and that will get recorded back to our CI form. Progressing to page 2 of the problem-solving worksheet, we start with our causes determined section, in which we list possible causes of this problem. We perform an analysis comparing each possible cause to the definition to identify, are the possible causes probable or not. And then for each probable cause, we determine a test which will allow us to, at the end of this test, have a firm answer of yes, that is an actual cause of this problem, no it is not, or it's a partial cause of this problem. Again, these tasks can be assigned to a natural owner with a target date for completion, and anything that's assigned in this section will appear on that person's homepage when they log into the software. Once we have our actual causes determined, there will be a completion date that will be put in this section, which will transfer back to the continuous improvement form. The next section is solutions identified. When you know your actual causes, then you identify a solution for that cause. You verify that that solution actually solved that problem. You think, where else might we apply this solution? And you give that solution an owner and a target date, which will appear on that person's homepage. We have a completion date for this section also, which will transfer to the continuous improvement form. And then the last section is the preventive actions, where we identify what can we do to prevent this problem from reoccurring in the future. We also think about where else might we apply this preventive action. We give the action an owner and a target date, which will appear on the home page. We identify whether operator retraining is required after implementing this preventive action. And again, when the preventive actions are all in place and completed, we record the completion date of this section, which also becomes the completion date of the entire problem. There's a notes section at the end of the problem to record anything that we learned during this analysis that we want to remember in case we ever refer to this problem-solving form again in the future. Let's go back now to our continuous improvement form. At the top of the worksheet, you remember I showed you the section where it shows that the parent of this problem-solving worksheet is the continuous improvement form. So if we want to return to the parent, we can click the folder icon. Now we're going to progress to looking at the project implementation worksheet. Once the project is open, we can see the same information on the header of the form. The project number, the fact that the parent of this project is a continuous improvement form, the project name, the team, the natural owner, performance area, the date assigned, just like we saw in the other worksheets. Below the header information, we fill out the project in stages. The first stage is to identify the steps identified, where we just list all of the steps that need to be implemented in order for this project to be successful. Once the steps are identified, we take time to identify any difficulties that we may encounter as we try to implement this project. When our steps and difficulties are identified, we enter a date for this section of the form, which will automatically be transferred back to the continuous improvement form. The next section is for each step we identify a person responsible and then a target start and a target completion date for each step. After people responsible and dates are determined, we also look at the difficulties we identified and think, how can we resolve that difficulty if it comes up, or how can we avoid that difficulty altogether? So any actions that we plan on taking, we identify for each difficulty. With our people responsible, dates, and actions to resolve our difficulties recorded, then we can enter a date for this section of the project, which also gets transferred back to the CI form. The last stage of project implementation is tracking this project through to completion. So for each step, we record the actual completion date of the step. We record the resolution date if we end up taking the action to correct or avoid the difficulty. And then we can put a date here at the end of this section to show that the project is completely implemented. There are a few other aspects to the project implementation worksheet I want to cover. For each step, you have the ability of attaching a child form. So if identifying the current steps done by each crew was an action that was going to in itself have a number of steps and involve a number of people, we could attach a child project to this step, which then we could break down all the steps required to accomplish this activity. Another aspect worth noting is that while we are implementing this project, we can add to the difficulties, because it says difficulties we may encounter, which we identified originally, or difficulties we did encounter as we were implementing the project. So we want to make sure that we record all the difficulties we encounter, even if we didn't foresee it ahead of time, because then we can also record the actions that we took to resolve that. And if we ever look at this project implementation worksheet in the future, it will help us better plan for a similar project, because we'll have a better list of items that might indeed slow us down or stop this project, and we can plan better to resolve those or avoid them. The last section on the project implementation worksheet is a completed project evaluation, where we ask some simple questions to identify how well did we meet the estimated time, cost, and impact. You remember this data came from the data analysis on the continuous improvement form. What we might do differently if we were going to start the project over, and where else should we consider implementing this project. Before we leave this worksheet, I just want to point out that the functionality we had on the continuous improvement form to attach a Windows-based file, we also have that ability on the project and the problem-solving worksheets. Typically, on a problem-solving worksheets, we will see clients attach files that show potentially a picture of the defect they're trying to resolve, so that it's very clear to anyone on the team. For projects, many times our clients will attach a tracking mechanism for the impact of the project. So if the project impact is going to save money, they will attach an Excel sheet which will show the cost savings over time. If the project is to reduce a roll change time, as this is, they would track the roll change time over time to show, as this project is implemented, the improvement that's gained on that specific item. I can go back to my continuous improvement, the parent form, by clicking on the folder, or I can go back to my home page by clicking on the home page link, where I can again review all of my responsibilities. And any one of those responsibilities can be opened up through the folder icon, as you saw, or by going into a continuous improvement form and then seeing the problems and projects that are directly related to that continuous improvement form. Before I finish this video, I wanted to show another location where we can see the problems, projects, and continuous improvement forms. If I hover over the continuous improvement menu, you'll see we have continuous improvement forms and problems and projects, which I'm talking about in this video. If I click continuous improvement, I will get a list of continuous improvement forms. This is a different list than my home page, because my home page showed me anything I'm directly responsible for. This page is showing me any continuous improvement forms from any teams that I am a member of. So there are more forms on this page. If I wanted to see other forms from other teams, I could also look and say view all teams from the database, and this list will grow. In a similar way, I can click on, in the menu, problems and projects, and I get a list of all of the problems and projects that are assigned to a team that I am a member of. And similarly, I can say view all issues and get a larger list of all of the problems and projects being implemented in my location or in my company. There are also some sorting functions up here to very quickly find a project that you're looking for or a problem that you're looking for, in case you want to reference a previously completed item. Over time, this search functionality becomes incredibly powerful. Right now, we don't have a huge population in this demo database, but imagine there were 300 forms that we had filled out over the course of a few years, and all of a sudden we start having sheet break problems. So we wanted to search the database for any problem-solving worksheets we've ever had related to sheet break. So immediately we could pull up 2 or 3. This one just had 1, obviously, because we don't have much data in here, but we could see that we solved a sheet break problem with 2-ply, about 24 weight, and it was part of our continuous improvement team in the calendar area. So this is incredibly powerful because we can look back and open this form up, and if it's a similar problem, we can see what we did to protect the customer at the time, what we found to be the root cause, what solutions we put in place, and what preventive actions we took. So it's incredibly powerful. In the same way, if we wanted to look up any projects that we've ever done surrounding our role change procedures, we could see immediately that we review and standardized our role change procedures through a project. So if we were going to do a similar activity, we could open this up, see all the steps that were laid out and how they were done, see how the timeline was achieved. To see how aggressive we could put our new timeline, we could look at the difficulties that were planned for, the difficulties that were encountered during the project, and by using that information, our new project could be a lot more robust and therefore have a higher chance of success. So the more you use the system and the bigger this database grows, this search functionality for problems and projects really starts paying dividends. So that is the basic functionality of the continuous improvement portion of the web-based transformation software. We covered the home page. We looked at the blue form, continuous improvement worksheet. From there, we reviewed the problem-solving worksheet and the project worksheet. And we also looked at different ways to find the forms depending on whether we are looking for things that we are directly responsible for or we want to see things that are assigned to a team that we are a member of. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it has been a good demonstration of the general functionality of the continuous improvement portion of our software. Hopefully I've answered all of your questions, and if you would like to learn more, I invite you to visit our website at workplacetransform.com, where you can learn about the services we provide as well as the software product.